Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about some news that came out recently involving the TV show Shogun. Obviously, the conversation being that it is more likely that the show is going to in fact get a second season. So there's a lot more to this, so I kind of want to break this down and kind of talk about some of the reactions that's kind of been across the internet, because it's kind of split. Some people want a second season, some people don't, and I kind of see all sides to it. But really quickly, obviously, if you haven't seen Shogun, I won't spoil anything, but basically news came out recently that Hiroyuki Sanada, who's the actor who plays Toranaga, which that's kind of a, well, I guess is a kind of a spoiler because it kind of goes into the fact is that Toranaga survived season 1, but basically he signed on for another season. So the reason why this is interesting is because obviously, if you're unaware, Shogun is based on a book of the same name, and for the most part the show is an adaptation of the book. I've never read the book, but from what I've heard from people, it's like basically some things are different, some stuff have been moved around, but for the larger conversation, basically the show is an adaptation of the book story. So where the show ends with its series finale or season finale now is where the book ends for the most part. It's at least my understanding, having never read the book. So there is no more material afterwards, and this is where we kind of get into that conversation of some people being like, I don't want a season 2 because, for one, you had source material to pull from. Now you don't. You'd be kind of freestyling a little bit, and I kind of talked about this in the my review of the season, well, now season finale, but at the time series finale, was right, you're not pulling from source material, and people obviously have made the Game of Thrones comparisons with Shogun, just in like the scope and scale and just the reception to it and stuff like that. But it's also been the whole thing of, yeah, see what happened with Game of Thrones where they didn't have any material to pull from, like, you know, that's what people are kind of scared from. But the argument against that has been, and this is something I brought up during my review as well, this is also based in history. Yeah, like you're gonna like fictionalize certain aspects of it, but there is still plenty of history to pull from that you can incorporate these characters into that story. Like, these characters aren't one-to-one from their historical counterparts, but it could still be like, right, even if it's a character of like, this character's story plays out this way history-wise, you could still give them someone else's story. You know, there's a lot to play with. There is still so much history to pull from, so that is in fact your source material. So that ends up being this really interesting debate. Like I said, aside from just that, it's just, hey, you had a great ending. We don't want to take the chance you might screw it up. Season 1 was so good, we don't want to take the chance you screw it up with a season 2. But it's like, you get the right people who went about making this first season coming back. I don't think they're going to screw it up. I think they're going to treat it with just much care and authenticity as they did the first season. So I'm not really worried on that front. But it's like, because I myself am like, I want a season 2. I would want more of this story, but I was perfectly fine being where things are. So if we're going to get a season 2, I'm going to be more happy about it, because I never want anything to end, and I talked about it. I love these characters, I love this story, and being able to kind of go further from where we left off would be perfect, you know? Especially in correlation of, once again, no spoilers, but how the, you know, first season ends, like what that means for season 2 and what stories we would get in season 2. There are a good chunk of cast members we followed season 1 that are like, those characters are dead. So it's like, oh, like what new characters get incorporated, you know, in some capacities, and what that means going forward for a lot of storylines and stuff like that. And just, you know, but like I said, there's still, even where we ended with season 1, there's still so much story to continue on there, plus incorporating history to play into that as well. So it's an interesting conundrum. The show is kind of a victim of its own success in a lot of ways, because I believe the thing that's kind of been floating around is like, this might be like the most viewed FX thing ever. Like, I don't know if it's the show in its entirety or is it specifically like the premieres, but I remember that kind of being floated around. But I mean, it's a great show, so getting more of it, once again, I'm also biased of like, I want more of it. So, you know, I would be perfectly fine with it ending where it ended, but I'm also extremely perfectly fine with it continue on, because nothing's officially set in stone. The Hiroyuki Sanada thing makes it go like, oh, he signed on for season 2, so there's definitely a season 2, but I don't know if it's like been officially greenlit even with that. But that's at least what the trades are kind of reporting and stuff like that. A lot of articles up about that. So I don't know. And like I said, the internet, at least what I've seen online, and maybe it's a lot more, maybe it's not as evenly split as I think, but the reaction has been very like, some people wanting, yes, want more. Some people being like, no, leave it at a 1-season limited series thing. I'm curious to see how that ends up playing out. This news dropped like a couple of days ago, so obviously I'm going to keep an eye on this situation and kind of make a future video and updating on whether there is a clear answer. Because it didn't say like, oh, Yuki Tsunada signed on for a second and third season. It just says a second season, so even if we get a second season, that in itself might be the end. So there's a lot to kind of consider in the long run. Like I said, to make a video in the future updating any definitive answer. Obviously, these are my thoughts. Love to get to know yours in the comments down below. Where do you stand in the grand scheme of things when it comes to Shogun? Do you want it to stay the one and done, or are you like, nah, give me a season 2. I need it bad. So I love to know where everyone's perspectives are in the comments. Really, that's all I wanted to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good